What's up?
All right, hello and welcome everybody to another little mid-afternoon stream, something a little different. Eileen, thank you for the follow, the off-stream follow, and I think she'll be joining us here soon as well to watch me play a game poorly. On the line with me, I have Nick. Nick, go ahead and say hello, and B-Hawk, let me know if you can hear
Hello.
him. Sorry, I spoke over you. Try it again.
Oh no. Hello. How's it going, everybody?
Cool. B-Hawk, are you able to hear him? Just to make sure it's all set up right. Sweet. Cool, so let's get started here. So I'm going to have the stream muted from the other night that I played. My lovely face will overlay my face from that night so you can't see the frustrated faces I'm making as the game's going. But really quick, just to kind of go over the deck that I ran that night. It was Dignitary Lonnie Jabatasker, Triple Control the Weak, Fair Game. Hey, I got a follow. Thank you, Panda Brew 89, aka Nick. Appreciate it, man. Um, yeah, so triple control the weak, fair game, really fun play. Tendrils of Pain, it's alright. Creates an Amber, Dominator, Bobble, Life Ward, Pit Demon, Schuler, Stealer Souls, and Succubus in the Dis house. Logos is kind of the main house on this deck, so you've got a library access. A lot of times I can hit the library access and just throw out a whole big board of creatures. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 Logos creatures with Rocket Boots and triple Doc Bookton. So Doc Bookton usually ends up wearing Rocket Boots in this deck, which is really nice to reap and draw a card each turn. And then Untamed has a little bit of burst potential, not a lot. There is Full Moon Hunting Witch, but not very many creatures. But the gold standards here are the two Lost in the Woods and the Mimicry really help for board control or just, overall control with Mimicry. So yeah, that's what we've got from the list. So let's go ahead and let the video roll here. Anything that sticks out to you, Nick or B-Hawk in the chat room?
I mean, I like this deck a lot. I like Triple Doc Bookton. I think Doc Bookton's a really good minion that doesn't get that much attention sometimes. Like it can do a lot of work, and people usually will just ignore it. It'll just sit on boards, and especially with that Rocket Boot. I love Mimicry. Mimicry is one of my favorite cards in the game, just because it's flexible, which is a really strong thing I think in Keyforge.
No, definitely. Hello, Evelyn, Anne. Hello, Anne. No, so this is the deck I'm going against. I'm going against Brooks Clark from Vault Tour Denver fame, finishing runner-up at Vault Tour Denver. So he's got pretty solid Brobnar house, logos with the triple Titan mechanic, and then in the Shadows house with your classic bait and switch, finishing blow, miasma, nerve blast. Just kind of like a solid deck. I don't know. Like looking at the list, nothing really like jumped out at me, but it's just like a collection of good cards, good creatures, good actions. Any other takes from the peanut gallery? Anybody?
Triple Titan mechanic is always really good, and he's a little. I mean, it looks like definitely he's going to be playing a lot of Brobnar, like going Brobnar or Logos probably most often. But I mean, it looks fast. That's my initial. Like he can just jam stuff out.
Yeah. Nope, that happened too quickly. So my opening hand Had two Lost in the Woods, which I don't really want to see early. Um, yeah, so I think that, I mean, pretty sure mulliganing that was the right call. Like the Control the Weeks and the double Lost in the Woods that early just don't really do a lot for me that early in the game. Lost in the Woods are better kind of in the mid to late game to get problem creatures out of the way.
Yeah, definitely mulliganing Lost in the Woods is and Control the Week. You just don't want those early. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate you're drawing the hand that you mentioned it afterwards to get so many of the Control the Weeks back.
Yeah, two of the Control the Weeks come back into my hand, which is unfortunate, but the good news for us is we did see old Bruno from him on turn one, which is kind of nice to get that out of the way because this deck kind of is a racing deck. So I led with Doc Bookton and Dexter, and I suppose a case could be made to just discard Dexter from the very get-go. But in this deck, I do have a lot of Logos creatures, so I tend to use Logos a lot, and having Dexter out there to give me that extra reap each turn seems like it's worth it. But
Yeah,
I think the case was made that I could have discarded it there, but I didn't.
I like keeping it. I mean, because you still have library. You have library access in this deck,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yep.
think that keeping Dexter with library access makes sense.
All right, so I got my Lost in the Woods back. I have a Common Cold with no Mars in my opponent's house. Um, yeah, it's right here. Let's see here. I don't remember what I did. Here's a good point. Let's stop this. So he's got Titan Mechanic with Rocket Boots. Um, I don't know. What's your guys' line of play here? And then we can see what I actually did. You're looking at two
I'm
control. Go for it, Nick.
oh no, I'm sorry. I'm tempted to go Dis here, and maybe save one of the Control the Weeks and probably Control the Week into uh maybe Shadows actually. I think since we know that he didn't have Shadows earlier and he's only drawn like 3 or 4 cards, so if he has Shadows, it'll be pretty minimal.
Sure. Beehawk's on the Untamed train to Lost in the Woods. Get rid of both of my Logos guys, throw them back in for library access turn later, and also get rid of probably both of his Titan mechanics, which is a fair play too. And then there's also a fair game with the Control of the Week. And so it should be attempted to call disc, clean out fair game, and or send the Titan mechanics back. All right, let's see what I ended up doing. So there's Jake telling me from the earlier stream that I should have discarded Dexter, to which I'm explaining to him that Logos is my main house and I tend to call it a lot, so I didn't really want to throw it away there. So I did go Lost in the Woods to set up the library access turn to get rid of the Titan mechanics. I just didn't want Rocket Boots to kind of take off on me. Beehawk congratulates my play of the Lost in the Woods turn. So now we're coming down with Brobnar from him. Gets his Smith off. So yeah, that's a good point for man. What happens if we control the week and then fair game and then control the week again? I have no idea. I don't know how multiple control the weeks work. I think it's probably just your last control the week. Probably takes precedence. All right. So here I'm looking at a board. They'd be able to choose between the two houses. Interesting. Okay, it's good to know for future reference. So if you play two control the weeks, they get a choice of either control the week. So what's the play here, guys? What do we? What's your guys' view on what's happening? Where would you go? Beehawks on the
I would
disc train.
Dis, yeah, Dis. I mean, Dis is I think the definite choice here. I think Dis Control the Week into Logos. Like you play out Tendrils, then control the Week for Logos, and then play Fair Game, and then I would be tempted to hold the second Control the Week just so I get another turn of maybe time walking them or making them skip a turn essentially.
Yeah. So this might have been one of my shortcomings because I know I did something similar, but not quite that. So I go dis, I go tendrils. Then I start asking Jake whether he would control the week first or fair game first. And he told me to fair game first, so Jake, it's all your fault. And so I gave him 2, I gained 2, and then I burned both control of the weeks trying to get through my deck, and that was probably wrong. I probably should have just played one. Oh, B-Hawk is saying just tendrils and control of the week. Interesting. I could see that play. That actually makes a lot of sense to me as well. Yeah, so I forced him to go Brobnar so he wouldn't be able to prevent my key. Was my thinking there. But yeah, I definitely didn't need to double control the week. And if I had one control the week in hand, I would have not the Stealer of Souls in hand.
Yeah, fair gaming to see the cards is pretty strong.
All right, so we're in the tank again. We're at an empty board looking at his board. Jake likes the Logos plan. What do you guys like out of this hand? I think that's probably the right play just to get back on
Yeah,
board.
I agree with Logos because I mean, knowing we knew his hand, which was I don't remember what was in it now, but it seemed like just establishing some board would be pretty good.
All right, so we get Nerve Blasted. Get Exploitered. Got rid of our mother. Things are starting to get sloppy. We're at one key to one key. He's got a 3 amber lead at this point. Into a Titan mechanic. All right. I'll pause it here. What are we thinking on this one? So we've got the full moon with only one creature, which is less than awesome. B-Hawk's still on the Untamed train though, to go Lost in the Woods. Chuck a couple dudes. Cooperative
Yeah,
hunting.
I think Lost in the Woods cooperate. Lost in the Woods, you get to remove some of his board. You can co-op hunting something. Um, Seems good.
All right. Pretty sure that is what I did. Let's just see if I did it in the right order. Mostly get the bad cards out of hand. Yeah. Actually, cooperative hunting, like his big dudes, it's just not ever going to really knock them out. Yeah, I know I was in the tank quite a bit during this game. Oh, Jake talked me into Dis. All right.
I'm,
So,
I mean, there's a case to be made for this. It kind of sets up a slightly better, maybe untamed turn, but I still feel like going untamed there would have been.
I would have cycled more cards, that's for sure. Settle Mall, hit our. Oh, he just played Settle Mall. That's right. He's not hitting our hand yet. So now we actually have a fairly good untamed turn since we have 5 untamed cards in hand. So the cooperative hunting is as live as it's going to be. So yeah, yeah, definitely need to go untamed here.
Yeah, can't go anything else this turn.
4, 6. So we're doing 6 damage. I think I went Umbra and Lomir because that's 2 and 4, so that's 6. So that gets rid of 2 of his creatures, and then Lost in the Woods will get rid of 2 creatures.
That seems reasonable. I mean, there's a number of ways that could have worked out, but that's actually probably one of the most efficient of getting rid of the most things on his board.
Yep. So Lost in the Woods here, what do you throw away from my side of the board?
I like throwing away the ape and you carry. Yeah.
B-Hawk says Doc. The problem with like Doc though is I still haven't drawn my rocket boots yet, and if I draw my rocket boots with Doc out already, it's so good. Go to Sack Titan. Yeah, but I just figured I was gonna Lost in the Woods the Titan away. So here I'm checking out what's in his discard since I just drew Mimicry. So we see a Bat Drone, another Titan Mechanic, and another Titan Mechanic. Keys are getting real cheap.
No kidding.
All right, what's the play here? What house are you going?
I like this because there's a Dominator Bubble and a Control the Weak in our hand. Oh, B-Hawk likes logos.
B-Hawk's like Logos. Why Logos, B-Hawk? What's your play there? Scrambler Storm. Yeah. Yeah,
Scrambler Storm is OP.
we've already seen his Miasma. We haven't seen his bait and switch yet. I think I forgot about that. Draw 2 cards. So I think I went back and forth on this one.
I
Anne's
just feel
on.
like this.
Yeah, she's on the
I just
disc
feel like
turn.
this. Yeah, this can you can control the weak them into Brobnar, and that's probably going to be a pretty weak turn.
So Jake's on Team Dis, so I probably go Dis because I was letting Jake call the shots. So go Dis. Killed his Bat Drone, I believe, because it still gets me the Amber and it doesn't allow him to steal. Purges it. So controlling the weak. Let's see if I make the correct call here. Yep. I did it, guys. Look at me go.
Boom.
I don't know, so how do you feel about that last play?
About killing
Killing
the
the
Titan
Titan
mechanic.
mechanic. Yeah.
I would have reaped with Doc Book then, personally.
Let's see. What did I
I just
draw? I drew Scrambler Storm. So I drew Bear. Or I'm drawing Hunting Witch. So I wouldn't have been able to play it anyways. Yeah. Anne says she would have reaped with Doc as well.
I
I
just
just,
like having the extra amber, and I like having the Titan mechanic up because it makes your they have to try to bookend the Titan mechanics, or you're going to be able to forge for a lot less.
sure. Yeah, I guess my thought there was I just like he was at 5 and he would have forged it 4 and then he could have covered it up, so I didn't want to give him the 1 amber advantage. And I wanted to limit his kind of on-board options because his Logos like artifacts are so good that if he called Logos, which I kind of assumed he would, to Anomaly Exploiter, like Library of Babel, and then if he could reap twice, it's a pretty strong turn with just what he has on board. But yeah, nope, that's probably Hawk says I should have killed both Titan mechanics, not Bat Drone.
I could see that. I could see what that B-Hawk's saying.
So we get to our second key. We are so close. We are in this race. What's the play here before I click on what I actually do? Because this one's kind of, I mean, it's either a Logos or a Untamed turn.
I like the logos. I think I agree with B-Hawk. I think logos here is pretty strong. You get to draw a card, you get to archive a card. Um,
All right, everybody agrees logos. Let's see if I. Hey, I did it. So reap to draw the card. Drew another logos creature.
nice.
Play another logos creature. Lab work, the mimicry. Do you play the Scrambler Storm here or not?
I think
Always.
definitely.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jake from the past agreed on the logos turn as well. All right. Now we've got kind of a spicy Untamed hand. Super spicy. A Hunting Witch, two creatures, and a Nocturnal. Lost our Schuler with the Subtle Maul. Oh no, oh no, what? The Subtle Maul into Schuler? Alright, so we got Screech Bomb back down to 2. Still have the Titan mechanic out. I'm pretty sure this is the turn where it all unravels for me, where I make a really bad call here. But what's the thoughts before the turn starts here?
I feel like it's Logos. Logos, Rocket Boots, either Bookton or Ganymede. Oh, really? Yeah. He's saying something. But I just feel like you get to draw, you get to archive all basically half of your untamed cards and gain a bunch of. You can gain. Can you gain enough to? You can gain enough to get on check too. So
Gosh, I mean, like,
um,
I didn't even see that play. Like, I just saw, oh, I've got all these great Untamed cards. Oh, yeah, that would be a much better play. Then I get to keep all those Untamed Burst cards, and I still get in check. And that's why we're doing this, folks, so I can get better, because I didn't even consider that. If he has bait and switch, which I'm pretty sure he does. All right, let's watch me screw this up. Oh, I get so greedy here, and this is something I'm really trying to improve in my play, where at these end games like 2-2, instead of just going insane over like throwing the big Hail Mary, instead of throwing the big Hail Mary here, I could have like went the logos turn. Like the logos turn would have been amazing. Um, and even just doing the Untamed turn, if I leave Mimicry and Archives, that would have been smart because the Miasma and his discard would have been pretty solid. We checked out what was in my deck to see if drawing anything would help there. Yeah, and I should have left the mimicry. Like that was my mistake. I should have done the math because I was gonna get to 6 already. Or no, I guess I wasn't. This play actually doesn't get me in check. So then I
that's
used it.
probably why you mimicry.
Yeah, then I mimicryed into Smith to get to 8, and then the finger cross. And we get wrecked here with the bait and switch. And says too much. Yeah, let's see here. If we go back up the video, if we just if we would have went the other way and went to 6 and 7 would be 4 and 3. That would have been way better. On the bait and switch turn, like he would have only gotten to 4 amber off of us. So yeah, if I would have just nerve blasted, I could have. Well, nerve blast wouldn't have knocked out Naughty because of the shadow self. And I guess I only need 5 amber to forge because of the Titan mechanic. Nope, it was just an absolute punt here at the very end. A very, very unfortunate punt. So yeah, he pushed himself up to 8, brought me back down to 3, and that was it.
Yeah, and you go Logos here to like no, even nothing left in your draw pile is
No,
worthwhile here.
no, there's nothing. Like, I think I just did it for the act of doing it, but
Yeah,
and Jake's also
it's a good
chastising me
habit.
for not holding mimicry in the archives and being able to miasma him here this turn. If I miasma him this turn. I mean, I don't know what he's holding in hand right now, but there's probably a pretty good chance with just the mimicry, get back into check, I win the game here. But since I don't have, yep. Thanks, Jake. And yeah, that's what we drew to end the game. So yeah, how to lose a game of Keyforge. Use mimicry at the absolute worst time and ignore the play that puts you into check. Ah, I just want to back up to that again because that is, let's see here, a little bit further. A little bit further. Yeah, this is the play right here. Yeah, it was definitely overextending. Um, man, I don't, yeah, I can't believe I missed the rocket boots just onto either, I mean, either Doc or Ganymede here. Puts me in check, leaves mimicry in archives for the miasma. Ugh.
Yeah. And it's just, but I mean, this is what this process is so good for helping because I feel like most of the games that I lose can I can go do this and I can attribute like there was usually a couple decisions throughout the game where I could have just gone a different direction.
Yeah, and B-Hawk saying there's a third of a chance of drawing a usable card for this turn if the Doc booked in wearing the rocket boots.
Yeah,
And maybe a
I
two-thirds
think I
chance
think
of drawing it off of Ganymede if we, archive both of our logos cards and, or not logos cards, sorry, archive our two untamed cards. It probably would archive Hunting Witch and Nocturnal Maneuvers because he's got the Subtle Maul out. I don't care so much about losing the Bear or the Niffleape in that situation. So Anne's saying that if he hadn't had shadows, like the untamed play was fine going to 8. But with shadows and with bait and switch still, unfortunately, in his deck, and I think I forgot he hadn't played his bait and switch yet. But yeah, that's why you have to keep track of all that. It's a complicated game as it turns out.
there's so many cards to think about sometimes. And I mean, it's Crucible is kind of not nice because you can even go check the discard, or I mean, you can always in live play you can ask to see people's discard piles. It's just so much easier. You just click a button and see it.
Yeah, right.
So
It
I
just
have to
pops up.
in-person play. I always have to be make sure I'm really thinking about these things.
Unlike the other skill I'm trying to work on too is just that initial read through the list. Like I know the first time I went and played it in a chain bound, like I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking at their index card because typically on here I just re-click their list again. And you're not really able to do that. You're not able to click into the other tab to see what's in their list. You're kind of stuck with whatever you saw the first time. So I'm trying to hold myself to that as I'm playing these games too.
What cards when you're reading a list are you looking for usually?
I mean, it depends on the deck I'm running. So if I'm running, so I'm a Dirty Lands player. I'll admit it. I'm proud of it. I like the combo. I think it's fun. Then I'm looking for artifact hate, so I know can I play my Nepenthe Seed as soon as I draw it? Like, are they gonna have any way to stop me from like, is there any poltergeist? Is there a remote access? Is there nexus? Is there barehanded? Like, do I need to watch out for these cards for other decks? Like my Maven deck is actually a really fast deck. In that deck, I'm much more cognizant of big steal, big capture, so Drumbles, too much to protect, bait and switch, obviously. I think you're just always on the lookout for bait and switch, too much to protect, interdimensional graft, burn the stockpile, like cards that punish you for going above 6. Um, yeah, no, looking at the discard, so B-Hawk and Ann are talking about in a real life game if you are playing Untamed and they saw that you have Mimicry in your deck and you're asking to see their discard, it's kind of a indicator that you have Mimicry in hand. But I guess you can mind game them a
Over.
little bit by just doing it,
Yeah,
you know,
just ask to see
periodically.
their discard pile. Man, that's ultimate mind games. I like it.
Yeah. No, and then B-Hawk's kind of saying too, pretty much the same ones. The big steel cards are what you're really focused on. And then I know in like my Maven deck, I've got a couple of twin bolts, so I'm looking for two power creatures. Like, do they have some of the tech two power creatures that I need to maybe like reserve one of those twin bolts for, or can I just fire off those twin bolts at the earliest possible moment for the Ember? I don't know. What are you looking for, Nick? What do you look at when you're looking at the index card?
I mean, I think most of those things that you guys mentioned, I would add even, I'm looking a lot of times for board, like what kind of spot control or board control they have. What are their removal options? Um, I think I think a big thing that I'm always thinking about is like because I want to know, are there positional removal cards in their deck? Do they have booby trap? Do they have um, there's several that hit only the flanks, and so it influences my placement of my creatures as I'm playing the game. Trying to think about a lot of times I think about leaving a taunt minion open if I know that they don't. Like I'll leave one flank of a taunt minion open to play something impactful into that slot if I know that they don't have a lot of direct removal options.
No, those are all really great ones. Yeah, definitely like the handed disc and the booby traps, like you said, that can really influence, yeah, how you kind of set up your battle line. And I add Strange Gizmo to the list of cards to kind of look out for. I mean, I really don't like that card. I mean, it telegraphs itself so much because I mean, it has to be out on the board. Like, I mean, the best case scenario is you put yourself in check and play it, so your opponent doesn't really have a chance to do anything about it. But even then, they still have that turn to kind of play around it. But yeah,
It's a
I
weird
guess,
card to evaluate.
yeah, I mean, if it's good, if you're behind and your opponent has a big board and you manage to actually squeeze out to that key and just blow everything up and reset the game, yeah, it's really good, but it almost feels like one of those. Yeah, I mean, is it only bad when you're losing? So you just have to hope that you're always losing in a strange Gizmo deck? Because if you're ahead on board and you have to forge a key and blow up all the stuff you've already set up, it just feels real bad.
Yeah, I guess if you have a straight Gizmo deck and I mean, I don't know, maybe if you're not sure whether you're losing or winning yet, you discard it. But then it's like if you start to lose the board and you haven't played it, you're super sad. So it's like it's hard to wrap your head around that card and when the right timing is to play it.
No, and then B-Hawk brings up a good point. Restrain Guntus is another card to be very aware of, and he was saying it more
Yeah,
from the point of in his deck, like his decks with that card, he looks to see what house he should lock them out of that could actually answer it right away. And the thing to note when you're playing against it is you do not want to build up a hand of all one house card. Like it's super dangerous as long as that Restrain Guntus hasn't come down yet. You need to it's kind of weird the way you have to play. Like you have to kind of like ship those cards out quickly because you need to have options. It would never happen, Anne says, as it, happened to two of us the other day playing in just random pickup, well, not random pickup games, but inside the Sanctimonious Discord games. We had two Restrain Guntus locks yesterday. I mean, sometimes you're just unlucky. You play out a hand with like three cards, like three Shadows cards, and you draw three Shadows cards, and they Restrain Guntus for Shadows, and you're just like, well, next game. All right. Any other Any other comments or thoughts before we sign it off here? I need to actually go eat food on my lunch break so that I can make it through the back half of my workday. But thank you to B-Hawk and Ann and Nick for coming on here and showing me some lines of play I definitely missed. Like that Rocket Boots play is gonna haunt me now. Like it haunted me like the mimicry play, but like the mimicry play was there because I wanted to get into check, so I forced myself into a bad situation. Oh, but he had Titan Mechanic out. I would have been in check at 5, wouldn't have I? Ugh. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Always next time.
Next time. All right, cool. Thank you everybody for checking this out, for stopping on by. I will go ahead and end this now. I'll probably throw this up on YouTube as well for those people that prefer the YouTube route. And this seems like a pretty concise video for that. So, yeah, thanks everybody, and I'll catch you next time.